Hi. Okay. Oh my Lord. I try and I'm gonna zen. We just started World War III. I'm pissed off because of what Barron is, well, I'll cover that in the video I'm gonna do. Um, Baron Coleman, he's the lawyer amongst all the podcasters following all this shit. I've been trying to find lawyers who take cases to court. The Me Too women, Me Too feminists, all they got to do is lift their little finger and lawyers come running. But honest, hardworking, and respectable women can't, for the life of them, find a lawyer to defend them. Um, so then, um, I'm already boom, 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 pissed off and all thinking about my next podcast. And lo and behold, I come in and this client, so first, okay, she wants some churros. Give me a sec. I'm just getting the masa ready. I'll get them fired up. So I get them fired up. She's waiting. She's State Department. So I already find out she's State Department. Then a woman comes and she orders some donuts. Then when we're talking, her husband works at the IMF. I said, oh, let us know because you're a member of the IMF Family Association. Um, and you can get a discount because they've got badges and stuff, and technically they're part of the IMF. Okay, not legally, we can get into that, but anyway, they are. They're financed by them. They're populated by whatever. So I go, oh, I work at the IMF Family Association. I lived abroad for 20 years to a banker, and I was even the president of the French Expat Wives Club in Bogota. And I was member of the Spanish and the French and the American. Unfortunately, I ended up with a messy divorce, like they like to call it, in Spain. And after I made it out alive, and I get to the States and I go to the first demonstration, the the protective mothers say they also call it, they have a group called Mothers of Lost Children, like the Argentinian mothers. Um, and see, Baltasar Garzon is concerned about South American, when it happens to South American women, but not when it happens to American women, Northern American women. Um, See the double standards in at amongst the legal community and the human rights community. So I'm like, they tell me, welcome to the club. I'm like, oh, great. So, I'm working at the IMF Family Association to keep a roof over my head. That's, again, like all of these expat wives clubs, it's just a bunch of social plumbing, backstabbing bitches who have moved abroad so they can hang out, have domestic help, which they couldn't have in their home countries, and hang out in country clubs, which are paid for by diplomatic corps or corporate money. All of these expat wives clubs, they're controlled by the corporate interest and in collusion with the diplomatic corps, which in the United States also includes the State Department, because the employees of our embassies come under the purview of the State Department as well as the consulates. So maybe you'll follow me, what I'm getting to here. So I got the State Department woman out there, employee, and the IMF expat wife. She's from Australia. I can tell by her accent. I don't have to ask. And so, I'm explaining to her. I said, oh, you better check it out because the little ladies over at the IMF Family Association and World Bank Family Network know about all of the problems in the courts. They know about my case. They know about all of my research. Now, it's been a long time since I left. They ousted me in 2011, just before Dominique Strauss-Kahn, the head of the IMF, uh, was arrested in New York. Now, you have to understand, Anne Sinclair, French journalist Anne Sinclair, she was the honorary chair of the IMF Family Association. Now, she, just like the ambassadors' wives, oh, she just came to Washington to party hard and schmooze with the upper crust. Now, she gave up her job as a journalist. She was a celebrity journalist back in the 70s, 80s. She's a little bit older than I am. So, she got married because she married a politician, Dominique Strauss-Kahn. And sorry, I've got some people here looking at the donuts. So she's this makes headline news. Dominique Strauss-Kahn is arrested for sexual molestation of a Sofitel maid. And I said, that's a political coup to take him out of the running of the in the 2011 presidential race in France against Sarkozy, because he'll win against Sarkozy. And that's why they got to get him out of the race, because in an election, he will win. So, of course, and I'm like, is anybody noticing here that this is interference and on foreign soil of the election process in France? And that foreign soil is the New York courts. I mean, I'm like sitting there flabbergasted, like nobody's noticing what's going on in their own garden. Of course, we later find out, the Sofitel executives were involved in that. See that? Everybody's doing it. Now, I had already met with the ombudsman of NPR, Alicia Shepard, about my case in Spain and what's going on in family courts. She was the cousin of a friend of my mom's, Joan, what's her name? Joan Sullivan was her cousin. So, fortunately, Alicia Shepard's deceased. She died of cancer. Her husband, who she divorced, was like the first photojournalist of Vietnam or something. Her only son is a documentary maker. Like, yeah, we got plenty of those. Why don't y'all do anything? You just keep on making documentaries about the same old shit. And then that's also same year, 2010, that Juan Williams is ousted of NPR because of racial slurs against the Muslims. He said that when he gets, he goes to the airport and he sees some guy with the drab, with the Muslim, either the head, turban, or dressed in Muslim attire, he's like concerned that it might be a terrorist. And I'm like, well, that's not, him. That's what the mainstream media and everybody has been promoting in this country, the anti-Muslim sentiment ever since 9/11, and even before that. I start my book that nobody will publish, The Mommy Wars, the Deep State and the Mommy Wars between the feminists, the anti-feminists, and the socialites. And in fact, the introductory chapter goes back to Betty Mahmoudi. This is 80, 88, 87, 88. I read the book in Paris. It was easy reading. So, in fact, the family that I was living with, she's a feminist. Her husband passed away. He was a merger and acquisition guy. He had been a Portuguese, from a poor Portuguese immigrant family in France. She was from a very bourgeois agriculture family. But anyway, she was a real feminist. And she gave me this book to read. And, it was easy reading. And I was like, thanks, because it was easy reading. And it's good practice when you're learning a language. You just don't want to try and start reading somebody's like literature. Want to keep it easy at the beginning. Baby steps. I had graduated from the kids' books. Like I got a history book with the kids. At least they'll learn something. As I say, baby steps when you're learning a language. But yeah. So anyway, as I say, it started Betty Mahmoudi, and that I investigated all of that, and I looked at all of this stuff. I still like the court documents, all of the court documents, exactly what transpired. I still need to get. But there's enough out there. I saw enough. What happened was it was a gold digging girl. This was her second. She'd been married. Her husband doesn't make enough. I mean, real white trash. Real white trash. She marries this rich. I can't remember if it was Iranian or Iraqi doctor, and they. I think this might be Iranian because it's the overthrow of the Shah of Iran. Anyway, so takes her to the country. She can't leave. She's held against her will. He's supposedly beating her, and the typical story that we've heard ever since. And when I looked in, I was like, oh, yeah, there's a question of why they went and why they stayed. Was she in agreement? What was going on there? But other than that, I'm like, no, you little bitch, you came back to the States, and then she got him. No, he's a Muslim. No no enter in, so she could take his property, his house, and all of his assets. And he's there, and then she goes out and publishes a book and gets into the propaganda machine that's starting out, anti-Muslim propaganda machine, in order to justify the unending wars in the Middle East. She was the original one. Everybody, Amal Clooney is doing that. You got Michal Hussein from my boarding school in England, Cobham Hall. She's I think Pakistani. I'll tell you, after a while, I forget. I have to look at my notes on all of these different people. But it's always the same story. And this is what's pissing me off. But see, also, I've seen for a long time. Wait a second. These Middle Eastern women, this goes right into the UN report, in-depth study on all forms of violence against women, that while it is the men who are perpetrators of the violence, it's the women who maintain it by social, the norms, what you're going to find acceptable or not. This is, precisely, it's like, well, if this is acceptable, then we're not going to take it to court. If it's not acceptable, then we will. And this is my big beef. I'm like, with the Me Too movement, I'm like, excuse me, we have pedophiles running all over the place. You guys are enabling and empowering them. You're shutting up the kids. You're saying that you're sending them to the psychologists who say, no, it's just in your head. And, you talk about your psycho bag of bullshit. And this is no different from the crap that the Nazis were pulling with all of their victims. I mean, and we've got it all over the place. There's documentaries. Candace Owens explains all of this stuff. It's all explained out there. Nobody wants to grow a pair of balls and then take any action. No, let's just start another war. Let's just start another war. I'll tell you. I mean, I was like, okay, just try and send out, prepare, if I have time to post a podcast this evening when I get home, chimes in. I'm like, God, why do you do this to me? So you send me a bitch from the State Department. Oh, and then the State Department girl, so the IMF woman, she's like, I don't know if she has any kids, but she's fucked. I mean, these people, the IMF, the World Bank, the UN, I mean, I'm like, seize their freaking assets. We've got the United States is 39 trillion of public debt, but globally we're talking about more than $100 trillion of debt. And this is all from the macro, the central bank's macroeconomic manipulations to fix the problems caused by all of their financial inclusion to countries run by a bunch of psychopaths. All of these 10 percenters, the white collar people, oh, the ruling elite, the rich, the rich, the rich, they just buy everybody and anything. I'm like, yeah, you 10 percenters, see, the 10 percenters, they don't, they want absolutely do not want to assume responsibility. These are the lawyers, the economists, the politicians, the ones who are earning less than $500,000 a year. We keep on getting into inflation there. So, when I was growing up, it was, $200,000 a year. It's like 500 now. But so anyway, I mean, you weren't. Let's just say you weren't poor, but you definitely weren't rich. You didn't have mansions all over the freaking place. You weren't rich like the Astors, the Mellons, the Vanderbilts, Tankersley, and Tucson. But Basie Tankersley, I haven't even started to look at that. So that was a friend of my mom's. So anyway, I mean, if I could get some help with looking in, we've got the networks of Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. Robert Redford was New Mexico. So there are a lot of networks that need to be investigated and held to account. I mean, as I say, I keep on saying, I grew up with a lot of these people, and they keep on, don't bother me, don't bother me. I'm like, oh, you're going to get real bothered, real bothered. Your kids are too. Okay, we got some people vented. Bye-bye.